Hey, I'm Hunt, and this is Hunt on LSU, your channel for LSU Fighting Tiger football talk. Enjoy the video. We want you to leave a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe right below the video. Enjoy. We start with LSU football today, specifically Joe Sloan, who met with the media yesterday. You have heard me say this if you listen to this show with any sort of regularity at all. And if you haven't heard it yet, you will hear it in about 20 seconds. And you're going to hear it 2 or 3 more times before they play against Southern Cal. Because I think it's very relevant, and it's not something many people are talking about, in my opinion, as I consume LSU football content. Everyone who is paying attention to LSU and is covering college football and is talking about this Tiger team is just going straight to offensive line and going, best offensive line in the country, next. That's all anyone's talking about when you go to LSU's offensive line. They're all back except the center. They've got a bigger center who may be a little bit more physical presence. This is the best group in the country. What a place for LSU to build upon their 2023 offense. Okay, that's fine. I think they're good. I think it's a good group. I think that's absolutely reasonable. However, there was a huge problem last year, a huge problem that no one seems to be talking about. And I'll pull up the box scores for you. Last year, LSU opened the season with Florida State. In that game, LSU ran the football for 144 yards. 90 of those were Caden Daniels running around for his life. Josh Williams had a 35-yard run at the end of the second quarter. One play that didn't even matter. If you take that one play away from LSU's running offense, the running backs, Josh Williams, Noah Cain, and Trey Bradford, had 11 carries for 20 yards. 11 carries for 20 yards. That's simply not running the football at all against Florida State. Now, they were dudes up front. Fiskey, Verse, they had guys up front, but LSU could not run the ball against them. Fast forward to probably the second best defensive line that LSU saw last year in Alabama. Maybe Texas A&M was, but we'll get to that. But one of the better defensive lines that LSU saw. These are the top 3 by anyone's metric. It would be Texas A&M, Alabama, and Florida State. Against Bama, Logan Diggs, Josh Williams, and John Emery carried the ball 13 times. They gained 43 yards. 13 carries for 43 yards from the running backs. Now, Caden Daniels ran all over the place that day, had 163 rushing yards. So the numbers look good, but the running backs didn't do anything, just like they didn't do anything outside of one carry against Florida State. And then Texas A&M, yeah, they were bad. They fired their coach, and they weren't a good team, but that was mainly based on the fact they couldn't score any points on offense. Their quarterback got hurt, and they were running an offense that was really good in 2006. But defensively, they had dudes up front. Walter Nolan, Shamar Turner, Shamar Stewart. They had 5-star future pro defensive linemen. And how did LSU do running the ball that day? Well, Logan Diggs, Noah Cain, Josh Williams, and Kaleb Jackson combined for 15 carries. They had 35 yards rushing on 15 carries. That's nothing. That's completely inept. Completely ineffective. Nothing. So can they be better than that? It's the same group of guys. It's still Will Campbell. It's still Emory Jones. It's still Garrett Dellinger. It's still Miles Frazier. You plug in a new center. That's not a small sample size. That is 3 games against really good defensive fronts, and you couldn't run it worth squat. So are you going to be better than that? Well, Joe Sloan talked a little bit about the culture that Brad Davis is building on the offensive line.
There's some special guys up there who have played in a lot of games and seen a lot of different things. I think Coach Davis has done just a fabulous job of creating a standard in that room and creating it through players, where it's a standard that's developed through the players in that room, and they're the ones that are leading it. That's when you have a special group. All those guys, and you can see the standard of the first group pulling those younger guys, and that's what's exciting, right? That's how you build a culture in a room.
And I think the culture's good. Brad Davis is a heck of a coach. And they're awesome in pass pro. Will Campbell is just, you don't beat him in pass protection. Emory Jones is likely going to be a first-round pick because of his ability in pass protection. Like, they're good in pass pro. They've got to be better in the run game, and Joe Sloan talked about challenging them.
We're going to use our playmakers to make plays. If our offensive line has the ability to understand what they're seeing, process that information, and attack it physically and violently, right? And we can put them in different situations to be successful and use their ability, right, to learn, be physical, and to run, we're going to do it. And I think that's where a lot of times when you're building an offense or when you're calling plays, you have to think about, I need to protect this guy or I need to protect that guy, or, hey, you know what, that might be too much for us. And I think we've been able to challenge them so that we can attack people in a lot of different ways and make sure we can put the ball in the belly of the back a little bit. So it's definitely been something we challenged them with this offseason, and I think they've rose to the occasion and more.
Now, keep in mind that Mike Denbrock did most of the work in the run game for LSU the last 2 seasons. Joe Sloan was the quarterback coach, pass game coordinator, Cortez Hankton, passing game coordinator, wide receivers coach. They were more so involved, in my understanding, in the passing game. Well, now they get to put their fingerprints a little bit more on the running game, and I think that's going to look a lot different than last year. I think if Jaden Daniels was back, it would probably look similar with some different wrinkles that those guys were putting in. But now that you don't have as big a threat with the running quarterback, it's got to look a lot different. And Joe Sloan spoke to kind of adding to the playbook with the running game.
Our playbook has been big since we got here. We can call every play. If you see a play on TV, we could have called it. You know what I mean? In our terminology, right? So our offense had a lot of ability to adjust to what we wanted to do. We had done some of those things in the past, but maybe within game, right? What some of you guys may have seen, hey, you felt like we were leaning more towards, you know, 1 or 2 schemes or whatever that might have been. So no, we had a lot of those things. Everything is about creating the package that fits us. And, you know, and then we'll attack the defenses that we're going to see, you know, in different kind of ways, right? Obviously, we're going to be able to do whatever we need to do to attack the defense, but yet allow our players to understand what we're doing.
My understanding, and trust me, y'all don't come here for all the X's and O's football knowledge. My understanding is in 2019 and 2023, LSU was pretty one track in the run game because it's all they had to be. You're going to chew up yardage and go score. It doesn't really matter how you do it, and if you do it the same way every time and they can't stop it, well, that's fine. I mean, my understanding was in the 2019 team was just a bunch of zone running schemes, and Clyde was really good at that, and Joe could figure it out, and they could win the numbers game because they were so explosive on the outside, and they just made that work. And last year, you know, if something didn't look great in the running game, Jaden could just pull it and outrun people to the sideline and make it work. I mean, they were just so good that I don't think they had to be quite as clean or quite as diverse in the running game because of the talent that they had in the backfield and throughout the playmakers on offense. I think they're going to have to do a little bit more traditionally, a little bit more creatively this year, and a lot of that's going to fall on Josh Williams. We know that he's going to be out there a ton. John Emery has been a big piece to what they've been doing in fall camp early on. But the 2 younger backs are certainly going to have to play their part as well. And Kaleb Jackson is the guy that everybody wants to talk about because his highlight reel is the coolest. There's no 2 ways about it. It is. It's really cool. But the question is, you know, how is he kind of progressing to understand the offense and be able to do the things that they need him to do to carry the ball as many times as probably LSU fans want him to?
When he was able to get the football, and especially once he broke the first level or second level, he's a punishing back. He is hard to tackle. He runs, he gets his pads down on contact, and he's able to drive his feet. So really the big thing was the growth from being a freshman. There's so many different things to running back. It's not just get the ball and run. There's, right, how is this run scheme fitting against the defense that we're seeing, right, and where's the ball going to fit? And keeping my eyes up and understanding my read and being able to hit the proper hole. It's pass protection and being able to pick up whatever the defense gives me as we make checks. Remember, he got here last summer. He wasn't an early enrollee, so everything happened so fast for those guys. So his talent was showing, but now I think what you're seeing how he as a complete running back is going to start to come into his own.
I really hope so, because I'm just like you that's watching the games and watching the YouTube highlights and understanding, like, when he touches the ball, really good things tend to happen. I can't claim to understand every pass protection rep that he's had in practice and in games and in whatever the coaches are monitoring. I don't know. I don't know how good he is at that or how not good he is at that. I couldn't tell you. But I know how good he is when he gets the ball in his hands, and that needs to happen a good bit for LSU this season, in my opinion. And Caden Durham's another guy that I think is an immense talent. Obviously, the track speed is the first thing that jumps off, but when you go out to fall practice and kind of look at what's going on out there, like, he fits in. He does not look like a skinny little freshman. Like, he's a little shorter than well, he's not shorter than Josh Williams, but he's a little shorter than Emery and certainly Kaleb Jackson, but he's still put together and he runs. He's got incredible bursts and explosions. So the question is, like, is he ahead of where he needs to be as a freshman?
Caden, as a freshman, is really far ahead of what freshmen usually are at that position. I think he shows an ability to make plays, ability to make runs, but also be able to play in the game. Right, be able to play in the game. He's not just a talent. Right, he's already shown the ability to be a running back.
I like where things are trending with LSU's running backs. I think that when you look at Kaleb Jackson, Caden Durham, and then Harlan Berry in back-to-back classes, that's what LSU running backs look like to me. It's going to be up to the offensive line to play better this year in the run game against good teams so that LSU's offense can run on schedule. It did not happen last year, and Jaden Daniels just covered it up. Now, keep in mind, they did lose 2 of the games I'm talking about, and it took Jaden Daniels pulling a rabbit out of his hat in the A&M game to get it to the finish line, but they got to be better than that this year. There's no two ways about that at all. If you're looking for LSU football content, you can always find it at Hunt on LSU on YouTube. Hunt on LSU. Subscribe to the channel, all your LSU football content. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.